All right, well, I got the live stream on. I got your name is
Mr. Fry, here in front of me, so I'm gonna listen good, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hope you get feeling better soon.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
January 14th, 2025 to order. Before I call on the invocation to Rob, I'd like for us to get a moment of silence for Officer Dwight Marshall. I think most of you have seen the news that we lost a young and upcoming officer. And at this time, I just ask that we join me in a moment of silence for Dwight and prayer for his family at this time. Thank you. Rob, this time I'll call on for invocation.
Mayor and Council, we have with us this evening Reverend Hardison, who will do the invocation for us.
Every head bowed. Heavenly Father, we just come today to say thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day that you have given us. You woke us up early this morning, started us on our journey, kept us all day long. And this meeting tonight, Lord, we ask that you bless the town councilman, the mayor, everyone that is present, those, oh God, that are here, oh God, to be a part of this meeting. We ask that you be in the midst of us, oh God, lead us and guide us this brand new year of 2025. We first want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping us through 2024. And you brought us over to a brand new day, a brand new year, a brand new hour. Help us to work together in our beautiful town of Chihuahua. Let us, oh God, be all that you have us to be. Anoint us and upon us. Cover us with your blood. Let the blessing of the Lord be upon us as we remain doing all that we do. We ask it all in the most precious name of Jesus Christ, we pray. And everybody says, amen.
Amen. Amen. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next up on our agenda, approval of minutes of December 10th, 2024 Town Council meeting. We'll have a motion.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion, questions on them? They call for the vote. All those in favor of approval of the minutes of December 10th, 2024, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Got Mr. Harvey. Those are, motion is approved. Okay, next up, December 2024 financial report. We will have a motion to approve. So moved. Got a second? Any discussion? Questions on that? Okay. This time I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the December 2024 financial report, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay. Next up, our presentation of the Town of Sherrall's fiscal year 2024 audit by the Birmingham Group.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being with us.
I think I see some new faces on the dais, so quick introduction. I'm Bill Hancock. I'm a CPA. My office is in West Columbia, South Carolina. I grew up in Camden, South Carolina, so don't hold that against me. I went to the Citadel, and I've been practicing for 34 years, and our firm does between 100 and 120 audits a year, mostly in the governmental space. And you are required to have an audit every year at your cost. You get to pick whoever you want, and we're glad you chose us. Okay? You should all have a gray-brown report in front of you, and they've got page numbers on the lower portion of each page. I'm going to communicate with you some required information that has to come from me to you. I'm going to be bouncing around a little bit. If you have any questions, some of you are new to this, stop me. We'll go through whatever you got. I'll explain it the best I can. If I don't have the answer here, I'll get back to West Columbia and get it to you as soon as I can. Let's start off with the most important thing in this report, and those pages 1 through 3. This is a 3-page letter distilled down to you got a clean opinion. It's an unmodified opinion. You should be called an unqualified opinion, but it's a clean opinion is what an auditee seeks. Okay. After the tests and verifications and confirmations we did, we feel like any user of these financial statements can rely upon them as being materially accurate. All right? So I told you I was going to jump around on you, but now I'm going to go all the way to page, come on iPad, work with me. All the way to page 58 and 59. This is the second most important thing that goes on during an audit of a governmental entity. This is a 2-page opinion, and it breaks it down into 2 major issues. Number 1, we issue an opinion on your internal controls over financial reporting. And number 2, we issue our opinion on the town's compliance with regulations, laws, grants, and agreements that you have rules imposed upon you by an outside entity. We'll talk about that in just a second. But first of all, let's talk about internal controls. No internal control system is perfect. Why? Because we're all human. So what we do, when we do an examination, we test your systems and processes to see, number 1, if they're effective, and number 2, if they can be improved. Now, this is not a gotcha engagement. We don't sit here and dig and dig and dig until we can find a problem and then say gotcha. We look at your systems and take a look at how they operate, how efficiently they are, and do they get the result that you folks need? And then we say, well, if they improved, could we get a benefit in excess of the cost that it would take to transition from this process to this process? We didn't find any examples where y'all's processes needed to be changed to become more efficient, where you could recoup the costs that would do it, okay? Again, it's not perfect. This was not gotcha. We didn't see anything wrong that we would recommend a change. If we had, we would have already recommended it to management, and it would have already come up to governance by now. This isn't the place to announce a major change that we think you should have. All right, second, on page 59, we're talking about report on compliance and other matters. This is especially for the newer members here that haven't heard me give this before. You folks have a lot of external entities imposing rules on you. The IRS, Department of Revenue, State Treasurer's Office, HEBA, DHEC. I can go on and on. We didn't find any instances where you didn't make your payroll tax deposits on time. We didn't find any instances where you didn't collect and parse and send in your police fines to the state treasurer on time or in the right amount. We didn't find any instances where you withheld and matched health insurance premiums for employees and didn't send them in time or not. We're not aware of any fines or any consent orders that you're operating under for DHEC, okay? We poked around and asked these things and we didn't find any instances of non-compliance. Could there be? We dug as far as we thought was appropriate and we stopped because we didn't find any problems. We don't think that there are, okay? Let's talk about some numbers since we're in an audit, okay? Y'all have two main funds, if you will. You got the general fund, which is town hall, streets, your police department, so on. So on page 19, 19 is the statement where you all report your revenue by source and your expenditures by use on a line item basis, and you compare it to how things are budgeted, okay? Now, in the far right-hand column, you see a variance of how things actually ended up versus the way you planned or budgeted to end up. And you can see, starting up top, property taxes and vehicles, we received a significant amount more than we thought we would. That's partly a function of an economy. Example, if the economy's good, folks go out and buy cars. The property tax on a 10-year-old car is $200. The property tax on a new car is $1,000, right? That makes sense? Licenses, permits, and franchise fees, again, that's a function of the economy. If more stuff's going on, there's more franchise fees being paid, more permits being pulled, and more business licenses being issued. All right? So let's go down to the next section, and what's probably going to catch your eye the most is capital outlay. We budgeted about $121,000, but we spent $831,000. We're discussing this in the finance committee just now. You can budget what you want to for capital outlay, but if one of your trucks dies, you got to replace it now, right? So that's really not something that you have a control over. And so if you look at the bottom of the page, overall, we ended up with a $500,000 surplus on about an $8 million spending budget. So y'all came within 1% of spending out what you took in. Right? You'd rather be on the plus side than the negative. Now let's go to page 21. This is the report on the operations of your water and sewer fund. All right? You, as many small towns, struggle with the balance of how do we keep our rates as low as we can but still provide the service to our ratepayers that we need. It's a delicate balance. Sometimes difficult decisions have to be made, but this fund has to run at a surplus every year if possible. Now, why do I say that? If you don't run at a surplus, you're letting money literally leak away. If you do let it run as a surplus, your surpluses will accumulate. And that means you can use your past accumulations of surplus to spend on capital items, and you have to borrow less. All right? So either you're losing money or you're losing ground, or both. You have to have a surplus here. Rate studies, which the town has, is regularly updated. But you can see in the middle of the page, y'all had an operating income of about $650,000 on revenues of about $5.5 million. You can see beneath that, you had a pretty good grant income of almost $2.2 million. There's a lot more of that activity to come. This fiscal year, y'all have a lot of balls in the air. The federal money's coming in, so forth. So we ended up with a change in that position of about $2.6 million. But the important number on this page is the $650,000 in operating income. That's just what you're charging your ratepayers less what it costs to run the system. All right, those are the things that I'm required to communicate with this board. I can go into any other parts of this report, and I can go into as much detail as the council would like. What's your pleasure?
Bill, do you want to touch on fund balance in the general fund?
Fund balance in the general fund, Mr. Crawford, what page can we all look at?
Page
40?
4.
4. I'm sorry. Page 4, this is in your management's discussion and analysis.
Financial highlights.
Okay. So the town's basically broken into two segments. You've got your water and sewer fund, and you got everything else, right? And so we've got unrestricted net position of about $4.6 million. All right. Of that, I've got to go to page 13, Mr. Carlson. Page 13 is the balance sheet of what we'll call the water system, water sewer system on one side, and governmental activities, which is everything else, on the left-hand side. And you can see your totals in the far right-hand column. I'm on page 13. You can see the net position, a la equity. The town's fairly strong. We're not suffering. We've got unrestricted equity of about $6.1 million in your governmental activities, and unrestricted equity of about $5.1 million in your water and sewer fund. There's something specific that you want me to echo?
No.
Okay.
Just the fund balance, and it increased.
Fund balance.
6.3 million.
Yeah, fund balance went up significantly. Included in that are the grant monies that you got, the grant monies that we got. Okay, that's not just from operations. That's not from property taxes less expenses. That's not rate paying less expenses. That's some money we got from free money we got from the federal government. What else can I add some detail to?
Questions? Okay. Hearing none, Bill, I appreciate your service to our town, and appreciate the audit that you give us and getting good standing.
Mr. Mayor, I'll offer this out to the rest of the council. Rob knows. If you folks go through this and you have any questions, don't be afraid to give me a call. We can talk about it. We're in communications with your staff intermittently through the year. Take questions here and there. It's just not, there's nothing secret here, and nothing we do is proprietary. So be happy to talk to you about this public information anytime if you want.
Thank you, Bill.
If you folks don't have any more questions for me now, I'd ask to be excused from this meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bill.
Mate,
Yes, sir.
can I recognize Tina Ellis? Tina, thank you for these results. I know this was not your last budget, but next to last budget that you put together, and these results are a reflection of your efforts and Rob's and Patty's. But thank you.
I'd like to sentiments as well. Thank you, Tina, for your hard work, and obviously sitting here with Bill and getting this good audit for our town, service and work you put in your staff. So thank you. Anything else, council? Okay, at this time, Rob, I think we have a recognition of our 17U Soccer Eastern District State Champions.
Yep. So I will turn it over to Andropoulos Miller, or Ken Mason, excuse me.
Going forward.
They threw a fastball at me.
We can get a little bit out of drop too, probably. So.
Thank you, Council, for giving us this opportunity to present the 17-year-old age group. It's a great accomplishment to once again repeat as state champions. At this time, Andropoulos will introduce each player and coach.
Can you come up front here? Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna call them in alphabetical order. So first, Mr. Cayo and GCO. Rafael Cavarro. Trent Crawford. Robert Blue. Thomas Duke. Xander Hamilton. Brock Jenkins. Michael Kennedy. Andrew Martinez. Eric Martinez. Aaron McQueen. Sam Phillips. Trevor Rainwater. Daniel Rhodes. And Reese Seegers. And the coaches, Mr. Ricardo Andricioli, Mr. Jim Kennedy, and head coach David Rainwater.
These are our state champions in 17U soccer program.
How many years is this team?
3 out of the past 4 years, state champion.
4 years?
Yes, sir.
That's what I wanted to make note of. I know Coach Rainwater, 3 of the past 4 years
Yes,
state
sir.
champions.
Yes, sir.
Which is quite impressive. To be in athletics at the high school as well and be a part of that, to see these young group of guys do this 3 out of 4 years is extremely impressive. So my hat's off not only the coaches that were involved and staff, but these young men. Look forward to seeing you do great things not only for a town but at your high schools as well. So that's a great feat to be able to do that. Number of times is probably a record. It's been extremely impressive.
Thank y'all for recognizing us. We'll get out of your way, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Congratulations again. Thank y'all. Elevator back up on us a little bit throughout Okay, as we're moving forward, next up we have a recognition of the Sherall Fire Department personnel for achieving Fire Officer 2 certification.
Marvin?
Thank y'all for having us tonight. I'd like to recognize the following personnel. Lieutenant Tommy Brock, Captain Brian Harper, Lieutenant Devil Ray. That's how we get old. Engineer Bird, Michael Bird, Captain Philip Dixon, and Captain Dana Rivers. I'll tell you a little bit about them. The Fire Officer 2 program basically is a continuation of the Fire Officer program through the State Fire Academy. It is a nationally recognized certification. It consists of 40 hours of classroom work on all nights and weekends, with fire service being predominantly volunteer in the state. A lot of those classes are held at night and on weekends to accommodate a volunteer schedule. But there was also a good bit of effort put in after hours and with some group projects. So those guys put in a lot of time, not just the 4 hours of classroom time, but the extra hours of getting prepared for class and that kind of thing. So it accumulates with a practical exam at the end and a written test at the end, and it does get IFSAC, which is a National Fire Accreditation Congress recognition. So we want to recognize that. That puts all our paid officers at least at firefighter 2 levels at 1, and he is currently actively pursuing his certifications too. So that hopefully in the near future we'll have all full-time officers nationally recognized as an officer, at least 1 if not 2 recognitions. Congratulate him on that.
And real quick, Marvin is being humble. He too has achieved his Fire Officer 2 certification as well. So please step up.
Congratulations. Now say this on behalf of the town. Appreciate your service and keeping us safe out there. And I do appreciate your moving forward with your certification and being at the highest level you can be. So thank you for that, and appreciate your service.
We appreciate y'all's support. Y'all have been good to us, and we appreciate your support. Give us the tools we need to do our jobs. And thank you for that.
Okay, next up we have our public hearing on the joint city-county comprehensive plan for Chesterfield County. Rob?
You need a motion.
Okay, so with this, do I have a motion for the public hearing on the adoption of the joint city-county comprehensive plan for Chesterfield County? Got a second?
Second.
Do I have any discussion, questions on that? Okay, this time I'll call for the vote. All those in favor for the public hearing on the adoption of the joint city-county comprehensive plan for Chesterfield County, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Rob?
So this evening we're having a public hearing on the adoption of the Joint City-County Comprehensive Plan. This represents a 2-year effort by the municipalities and the counties and the county here in Chesterfield County. And to go into more detail, I do have Ms. Lindsay Privet of the PD Council of Governments with us this evening, and she'll open up for us. The PD Council of Governments is the regional planning commission for the PD region, and they were the ones responsible for developing this plan.
Hey, thank you for having me. As Rob said, I'm with the PD Council of Governments. Councils of Government exist all over the country. There are 10 in South Carolina, and we exist largely to assist local governments in planning services and grant management and that sort of thing. For any of you who've not met us or are not familiar with our work, we have been working with the town of Sherrall for many, many years and enjoy that relationship. And so the Chesterfield County was in need of updating their comprehensive plan. Counties are required to have them, and any town that has zoning is also required to have a comprehensive plan. So about 2.5, 3 years ago, the county called us and started discussing their needs, and there were several other places in the county that also needed to either review or update their comprehensive plans as well. Some towns were struggling to have enough people to man a planning commission, in addition to all the other boards and committees and such that towns need to have. And so after a series of conversations with town leaders, county leaders, and community members, the decision was made to begin a joint planning commission, which would cover all towns within the town of Chesterfield County, as well as Chesterfield County itself, the unincorporated areas. The town of Pageland chose not to join this process because they already had a very robust planning commission that was in the middle of hearing lots of issues, and it just was not a good fit for them at the time. However, they did need a new comprehensive plan, and so they chose to join the effort to have a joint comprehensive plan that included everybody, them as well. So we have been through the process of researching all the elements that go into a comprehensive plan. There are 10, according to South Carolina state law. Included in those are transportation, your population element, economics, natural resources, but they're all laid out in state law. They're all required to be covered. And so our staff did the public outreach. We did the research into census information and population trends, economic analysis, that sort of thing, to come up with a roughly 700-page document that is an overarching plan for Chesterfield County and all the towns within it for the next 20 years. It will be updated every 5 years, reviewed every 5 years, updated every 10. But the intent of the plan is to give information all in one place for county and city leaders to access to make decisions when issues come before them. They'll have it already in one place where they can just consult it right there. Also, within each of those chapters are goals that the county and the towns see as important to work on for the future of their communities. Because it is a joint plan, there are certain things that are called out in those elements that may be specific to individual towns or individual areas of the county. But by adopting this one joint plan, it enables everybody to be included in the planning process without having to go through the process on their own and pay for it on their own. It's a very expensive process. But also it just doesn't really make logical sense for Sherrall to plan, Jefferson to plan, the county to plan without taking into account the things that are happening just outside their borders. Because we all know, as in the entire region, really, people move all across different jurisdictional lines throughout their day as they're going to work, coming home, going shopping. So it's important to take into account all the things that are happening around us. So that is how we arrived at having a joint plan. The planning committee has met every month for the last 15 or so months, I think. Every town has a representative on that committee. The county has a few representatives for the unincorporated areas. Blake Tillman is the county, the commission or the committee chair, and he has been a fantastic leader, showing up for all the meetings and really being involved and providing input. There was a lot of public participation with this process. There was a large public meeting held in Chesterfield County on January the 4th of this past year. It was very well attended. I think it was very representative of the entire population of the county. Notices were put out throughout the county in the downtowns, in the libraries, laundromats, gas stations, corner stores. It was noticed on town Facebook. The link covered it. So we were, as a group that hosts public meetings regularly, we were very impressed with the turnout. It was a much better turnout than we usually see. So kudos to the folks for getting the word out. There was a survey component to the plan as well, and the results of that are included in the appendix of the plan. And that is a lot of information about comprehensive plans. I'm not sure if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. We are making the rounds at all the towns and counties, so this is kind of, I don't want to tell you things you already know, but I want to make sure I cover everything. So.
Any questions?
And I will say the county, I'm so sorry, the county did table this at their county council meeting. I gave them the same presentation, but they had a significant number of new council members, and so they just wanted an additional month to have time to actually familiarize themselves with it. It was the first time many of them had heard the information in that way because they were new. But that happened, I think, last week, just to update you there.
Liz, two things.
Mm-hmm.
So with your history with other counties and doing this, you would say that this was well attended from our county as being involved with input on this?
I would. I really would. I mean, the meeting itself was very well attended, but also the one-on-one interaction that went into the information that went into the plan. We consulted with school district, Northeastern Tech, local agricultural. There's a farm that I forget the name of it. I'm sorry, but I ended up with some butter from the farm because our researcher went out and wanted to talk to the agricultural community and find out what their concerns were, for the next 5 or 10 years. We actually, the County Conservation District, we actually have entire sections of their goals within this plan because that's, they had already created this list of goals. They're very important, and so that we recognize that needed to be included. So we tried to make sure that we communicated with all the stakeholders in the county, different parts of the county, within the towns as well. We feel like it was the public outreach and the input was very thorough, and we had attendance at the committee meetings pretty regularly. We just had random citizens who had encountered our planner or somebody just come to the meeting, call and follow up and ask a question from something they heard during the meeting. So for a public meeting, I think it was well attended.
The last question with the surveys, I'm assuming you do that with a lot of different age groups. as far as in the county from seniors all the way down to, I would assume, kids in school?
Yeah, well, so in this case, we felt like it was important to get the opinions of children who are going to be, the people who are the stakeholders in the future. They're not necessarily the ones making the decisions right now, but so our planner reached out to the school districts, to the principals, and was able to get the surveys in the students' hands, as well as, I think the staff also received the surveys. But then at that public meeting we held in the county council chambers, that was when the survey was made public to everyone. It was kind of like the night that it was opening night for the survey, and that's when it went live on websites, Facebook. We had QR codes on business cards that we tried to.
So everyone had access to those surveys and things?
Yes.
Of what those questions were?
Yes. And there was the questions were slightly different for the adults. We had more pictures and things for the children's surveys, but yes.
Amen.
I would like to say thank you, Blake, for chairing this committee and being so engaged.
Okay, at this time, I'll ask for public comments. I've got one raise their hand. If you want to come forward, Ms. Carey.
Thanks for allowing us. First of all, thank you to that fire department. They're one of the reasons that as expensive as insurance is, their hard work keeps our fire rates down. And for a small town, you're at a 5, is that right, Chief?
Yeah.
Your fire rate is 5? They're at a 3. Having worked with fire departments, that's almost unheard of. So they deserve every bit of thanks and admiration, not only for fighting fires, but helping us financially. So thank you, Chief, and thank you. Okay, on this. This was a well-written plan. Have any of y'all read it cover to cover? 724 pages? I have. Well done. Well done, Lindsay. I talked to her on the phone today. The only questions I have, the first is financial. Lindsay told me that they're going to be meeting monthly with this planning commission every month. After I talked to the county, there is a financial cost to it. Talked to Rob, and he said you're going to be putting a line item in the budget for the cost to the town. Unfortunately, nobody can tell what that cost is at this point to the county. It's going to fall under Codes and Enforcement Office. They're going to have clerical work to post agendas, do minutes, and everything else. I talked to Michelle today, I don't know her last name, but they're working on it right now. So for the citizens, not only of Sherrod, to be aware, this isn't free. It costs to do this planning commission. The planning commission has done a really good job in Sherrod. So my second question is, why not, is there anything that prohibits keeping the town's planning commission having a representative on the county commission, and that way communication goes both ways? I pulled up what the commission is tasked to do. Review, amend, and approve ordinances. Hear and deliberate on rezoning applications. Recommend the adoption of the comprehensive plan and other plans, which is what they're doing. Influence the capital improvement plan, and hear and deliberate on plat of appeals. The town of Sherrod is a sovereign town, and those should not be shipped out to the county. You lose that authority. So that's a question I have for town council, is to keep it. They're a valued part of this community, and it just gives that communication that's trying to adhere to a county comprehensive plan on which the town has signed on to it. But we keep decisions local, because this commission is not regulatory. It's just advisory. And if we don't have someone in town that can work on this comprehensive plan and make these decisions that they are tasked to do, Sherrod loses out. And it gives the county time. This is brand new. As he told me that this is the first in a long time, and a first for the town, to have this far reaching. It's being tested. We want Sherrod to grow. Y'all put great plans together to move forward. But every town has a different need. Every town has a different personality. And that's a question that I would ask. And I don't know that y'all have the answer to that. But you're voting on this tonight.
Time's up.
There's no time limit.
I'm so sorry, I apologize.
I finally found the place that okay, we'll not be here. Just joking. Just joking. Don't want to take, but I hope this gives you some thought and consideration for the men and women who have sat on this commission, planning commission for the town of Sherrod, who have put time, talent, volunteer hours. Their work should not go away and be entrusted to a county which will have 4 representatives by law. That's what it has to have, a minimum, and each town will have 1 representative. So Sherrod might get lost in this. And I've asked questions like, another low-income housing unit. That would go through the county. That would not go through Sherrod. We lose that autonomy. And as our town leaders, that's part of what y'all should be looking forward to in the future. A bank wouldn't phone in their opinion on a loan. A coach wouldn't phone in, say, we'll let our opposing team figure out how we're going to do this. We all have a vested interest in Sherrod shining and being part of Chesterfield County. But the lowest common denominator on that ladder, the town has the largest authority. The town's authority supersedes the county, except in rare events. So that's a question. I don't know if you can answer it, or if you even care to find out if it's something that both can do. But we're leaning into y'all to make good decisions for the town. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Any other comments at this time?
Good evening. Just an analysis. This is just my opinion. There's a lot of things that are being pushed, and the citizens seem to be losing out. We have no say, as far as I'm concerned, and that's my opinion. Okay. How can I put it? It's like it's already planned. It's been planned. The date is set for it to come out, and then you say, okay, now we'll get the citizens involved. I think you didn't have the citizens involved all along. I just don't, these meetings we don't know about, all kinds of things. It's just that I feel we're missing out on a lot here, and our voices are not being heard. And secondly, just a question, and maybe the mayor can answer it. Is the town of Truro a business?
No, we're chartered by the state of South Carolina.
You're chartered by the state of South Carolina?
Yes.
So you're not a business?
No.
Okay. Okay, because I saw it listed as a business somewhere, but I'm just saying.
We have business filings, but that's separate. We have to do that for tax purposes.
Okay, say for example you were a corporation and you would deal with corporations. So I can see why the citizens are being left behind, because we're not a corporation. But yeah, I if you're a business, you should have a business license. In order to do business, you need a business license. So I'm just wondering if you have a business license.
That question?
Yeah, that's a question.
No, we don't. We don't have to have one.
You don't have to have one?
We charge ourselves a franchise fee on our utility system, like we do any other utility system.
So I can say I'm a business and just say it?
This is a public hearing about the comprehensive plan adoption. This is not.
No, it's okay. I understand that, but if we don't have a say, I mean, at least I could be heard on something. But that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any comments? Okay. Next up, we have citizens' comments.
You got to exit.
Oh, I'm sorry, we need to exit. Can I get a motion to exit public hearing before we go on to citizen comments? You got a second?
Second.
Any questions, discussion on that? Okay, call for the vote. Vote to exit public hearing. Everybody say aye. Aye. In favor, aye. All those opposed? Motion carries to come out of public hearing for the adoption of the Joint City Council Comprehensive Plan for Chesterfield County. Okay, now, this time, any citizens' comments? Hearing none? Yes, ma'am.
Are ordinances and resolutions law? Considered laws? That's the question.
This is citizens' comments. It's not a question and answer session.
It's not a question and answer session? Okay, I'm sorry.
You can come see me in town hall tomorrow.
No, it's okay.
Any other comments? And I would say if there's questions and stuff, feel free to do that at another time. More than open to do that. Okay. We have any other comments? Citizen comments at this time? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move forward for council action. Next up on our agenda, item number 10, the second reading of ordinance 2025-03, an ordinance amending the town of Sherall zoning ordinance to enact changes related to density, multifamily housing, development signage, and landscaping requirements. Rob?
So this comes, just like the first reading, this comes as a recommendation from the Planning Commission. This is an effort to reduce development costs in the town of Sherall, primarily relating to density. Also aims to deal with non-conforming lots of record in the town of Sherall, where we have a number of pieces of property that are undevelopable because the setback requirements essentially limit their use to being nothing. So this is the Planning Commission's way to try and encourage the development of new housing here in the town of Sherall and encourage development and reduce those costs.
Have a motion? So moved. So moved. That's for ordinance 2025-03. Have a second?
Second.
All right. Any questions, discussion on ordinance 2025-03? Okay. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of ordinance 2025-03 say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Next up, ordinance 2025-04 is an ordinance to amend section 7-15 of the town of Sherall's code dealing with yard debris, refuse, and recycling collection policies. Ron?
So this is an ordinance that deals with our debris collection that deals with yard waste generated on private property. We've had some unique situations occur where we've had situations of illegal dumping, but it's very unclear within our yard debris policy of whether or not that it is illegal dumping. So this just strengthens the language so that we can be a little more forceful and correct in our implementation of debris pickup and where it can go.
Now a motion to set ordinance 2025-04.
So moved.
Got a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of ordinance 2025-04 say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries unanimously. Next up, C, ordinance 2025-05, an ordinance to disband the Planning Commission and designate the Joint Planning Commission of Chesterfield County as the official planning commission. Rob?
So this is the ordinance that deals with the other part of the adoption of the comprehensive plan, which would assign the planning duties of the Sherall Planning Commission to the Joint Planning Commission of Chesterfield County, with Mr. Tillman being our representative on that board. If I may, Mayor, if Blake, do you have anything to add about the operation of that commission.
No, I mean, they put together a pretty good book. Basically says how it's gonna operate, how Rob's gonna pass off things that they can get to the commission, and how it's gonna be handled. I'm confident that it's gonna work. I do agree maybe in the future, if you can get the people on there, that might be a good idea. But, I mean, that's something that can be changed or discussed in the future as well. So, and if it doesn't work, you can always bring it back.
Any questions for Blake? Councilman?
Like the 4 members appointed by Chesterfield County, that's county council will appoint those 4.
Yes, sir.
So we would have representation. You may have representation from your county potential.
Right.
Your direct member. Your direct county councilman.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, but you have members on the commission or committee that live within a mile of all them civil rights and city limits as well. So yeah, they have a stake in the town of Gerald just as much as I think to be honest.
See, with being on both of these and seeing both sides of this, where do you think this gives us the plus to move forward with, just in your opinion?
I think working together with the county, I mean, you think about utilities and all that stuff, it's not like it's stopping the town line, so I think that's going to be the benefit of it. I think that'll be the overall benefit. I really don't see a negative, because if it doesn't work, you can bring it back. So.
Can we clarify one statement that was made earlier about the town's authority and how this committee is an advisory body, the town will retain authority over decisions?
Yes, so in the planning law, a planning commission is an advisory body that cannot have decision-making abilities. We have a comprehensive plan, and the planning commission is supposed to make recommendations based on that comprehensive plan that are then brought to the town council. Town council can choose to either accept or reject those recommendations. But as they're coming out of the comprehensive plan, regardless of which planning commission they would be coming from, they should line up pretty closely regardless.
I think another opportunity that the county commission would be the funding for that planning department, where it's all could afford just dedicated planning department, but you can have that codes enforcer and that planning department will pull all the entities together.
So this council will still have final say so.
Yes, sir.
Number one, and number two, you could opt out at any time.
Yes, sir. And if I may provide a concrete example, I kind of learned through the grapevine that there's a proposed 100 home plus subdivision coming to the town of Chesterfield. I was not really aware of it until it kind of got pretty far into the planning process. And while that is outside of our corporate limits, that certainly has an impact on the town of Terrell because we do provide sewer service to the town of Chesterfield. And of course, those people only being 12 minutes away from here, they're more likely to come to the town of Terrell rather than go to, say, Pageland. So those things do have an impact on us, even though they exist outside our corporate limits. And my hope, as Blake mentioned, would be that increased cooperation, we can plan for those kind of things better. We have plenty of sewer capacity, so it's not a concern. But when we look at things like pump stations, having to maintain those, what are the flow rates, those are all things that we need to be able to factor
in. Any other questions for council? Okay.
I have one.
Yes, Mr. Harvey, go ahead.
I believe the young lady made a reference that the town of Chesterfield is planning to table the matter until they can actually review the entire document. And I was trying to understand how will that affect the town and its making a vote to join this comprehensive planning commission.
Refer to these. Please. You want to step up? You might give her a second here, Ms. Harvey. She's going to step up and give you an answer to that.
So because of the number of entities that are going through this process right now, nobody has approved these ordinances all at the same time. So it will not make a difference. The county will hear it again in February at their meeting. You all are hearing this now. Jefferson had their second reading a month earlier. You know, this is something that's happening in a staggered way. So it won't have an effect on when this starts. The planning committee will still meet this January. They will just not be called a planning commission until February, until council takes action again. And it was the county, not the town.
And the county would have to take action before it would come to light.
Correct.
That's right. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Mr. Harper?
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from council? Okay, hearing none at this time, I'll ask for a motion for ordinance 2025-05 to approve. Have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor of approval for ordinance, motion ordinance 2025-05, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Next up, D, ordinance 2025-06, an ordinance to adopt the joint comprehensive plan, Chesterfield County as official comprehensive plan of the town of Cheraw. Robert.
This is the ordinance that enacts the comprehensive plan for the town of Cheraw.
Any questions, council?
I'll move this approval.
So, okay, have a motion, have a second? Okay. Any discussion? Ordinance 2025-06 to enact. All right. At this time, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve ordinance 2025-06, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion passes unanimously. All right, next up, item 11, first reading of ordinance 2025-07, an ordinance to redraw district relating to town council seats in the town of Cheraw. Rob?
So I did have to, the first reading of this was supposed to be last month, but I did have to delay it because of the upcoming special election to figure out how this would impact that special election, if at all. I have gotten it straight with Revenue and Fiscal Affairs with the help of the Municipal Association of South Carolina. So these new district maps, which have been drawn by Revenue and Fiscal Affairs to even out the number of individuals in each council district, will not be in effect for the special election. However, they will be in place for the general election in, by the time filing opens in August. So that change will occur during that time. Again, these districts have been drawn with the help of council, with Revenue and Fiscal Affairs, with the public, and after reviewing the draft map, it was determined that these proposed districts do meet the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. So basically they do say that one person with one vote, equal representation. So with all that in mind, I think we're good to go on this, and the effective date of the ordinance would be August 1st.
Have a motion to approve first reading of ordinance 2025-07. Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? So Rob, just to clarify what you said about the election part, with the special election, because of that reverting back to how the lines were then, that's why that would need to be that way, correct?
Yes, sir. So because the current seat that is vacant was filled under the existing maps, it can be refilled under the existing maps. And so it did change the effective date on the ordinance, but it's not changing anything in terms of where people will be elected from.
I just want to step there for the record clear. Okay. All right. So, all right, this time I'll call for the vote for the approval of first reading of ordinance 2025-07. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. All right, next up, ordinance 2025-08, an ordinance to increase the franchise payments from 3% to 5% for residential and commercial entities that collect and submit a franchise fee on behalf of the town of Cheraw, and additional changes. Rob?
So about 10 years ago, we updated our franchise agreements with all the utilities. Any utility that operates within the town limits pays a franchise fee to the town of Cheraw for that right. We charge ourselves a franchise fee on our utility system, Duke Energy pays one, cable companies pay them, any utility, telephone companies, Spectrum, you name it, they pay a franchise fee for that right. So this is an amendment to the franchise fee agreement with Dominion Energy. It brings it into line with our other franchise fee agreements by increasing the rate of the franchise from 3% to 5%. And that is basically 5% of the total revenue they generate in the town of Terrell is paid to the town of Terrell as a franchise fee. It's an important part of our budget that helps keep cash flow even throughout the year. And it is estimated that increasing this franchise fee would generate about $40,000 additional dollars per year for the town of Terrell.
Have a motion?
So,
And a second? Any questions or discussion? So, Rob, to make it clear here, the other utilities are at 5% now correctly with the franchise fee. This will put that in line with that.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, discussion? Okay. This time I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the first reading of ordinance 2025-08 say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That ordinance passes unanimously. Okay, next up, item 12 on our agenda is resolution. Resolution 11-2025 is a resolution authorizing the town manager to enter into contract with Skip bid 3A Southern Loop sewer upgrades to 4S Construction Incorporated. Rob?
This is part of our $10 million SKIP grant that we got through the Rural Infrastructure Authority. We bid this out in October. It had a bid opening on December 5th. The low bid was 4S Construction, which has done a lot of utility work for us in the past, including the raw water line and the Northern Loop Interceptor, which is similar to this one. The base bid for the project was $3,466,960, and there's a mandatory contingency attached to the project of $173,348. This entire project is covered by the town's SKIP grant, and this project will upgrade what we call the Southern Loop Sewer, and that is the sewer line that basically serves the entire bottom half of the town. It runs from Carolina Canners, serves all the residences back through that area, and then kind of loops around, comes up through ACL area, and goes to our waste treatment plant. So it serves all those areas back there. This is going to totally replace and upgrade that line. And this award is recommended by our SKIP engineer, Davis and Floyd.
Have a motion? So, have a second?
second.
Any questions, discussion on resolution 11-2025? At this time, I'll call for the vote. On the motion, resolution, in favor of resolution 11-205, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that resolution passes unanimously. All right, next up, B, resolution 12-2025 is a resolution authorizing the town manager to enter into a contract for water treatment plant improvements, generator, ATS, MCC, to Tri-County Utilities Incorporated. Rob?
Okay, so this has been an ongoing project. We have to replace the emergency generator at the water treatment plant. DHEC or DES requires that in the event of a power outage, the generator be able to start and automatically transfer over within 8 seconds of power loss. Right now, we have a manual generator, so we need to bring that up to code. We have the generator in place, it's already hooked up, but this is the contract that would actually install the generator. It would also install the automatic transfer switch. That's the machinery that gets you going in that 8 seconds. And it would also upgrade the mechanical control console, which is the MCC, and that's basically the console that controls and opens all the valves in the town or in the water plant. We have to do that because in order for that console to work with the new electrical upgrades that go with this generator installed, it has to be replaced as well. This entire project is being funded by the state revolving fund, so there's no cost to the town of Terrell. This is the 4th time we bid this project, and we did finally get 4 bidders. The low bidder was Tri-County Utilities with a base bid of $265,631, and they had an alternate 1 bid of $209,049 for a total bid of $474,680.85, which again is fully covered by SRF. And this comes as a recommendation from our engineer, Davidson Floyd.
Okay, have a motion? Okay, have a second? Any discussion? Resolution 12-2025. Okay, this time I'll call for the vote. All those in favor to approve resolution 12-2025, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion is carried. Unanimous. Okay, next up, C, resolution 13-2025 is a resolution authorizing the town manager to award a contract for improvements to the theater on the green to Mosley Architects. Rob.
Late last year, the town did receive an appropriation from the state of South Carolina for $1 million to continue to make upgrades to the theater on the green. It was recommended that Mosley Architects, who has done the previous round of renovations along with the analysis of the building a couple of years ago, was the most qualified firm to lead this effort. After price negotiation and a scope of work, which includes replacing floors, plaster work, exterior brickwork to control moisture, HVAC upgrades, roof and ceiling repairs, and other items, the total cost of the contract is $110,000, $105,000, which is the design and professional fees, with up to $5,000 in reimbursable expenses. For design professionals, this falls within the 8 to 13% price range you want to see of the total project cost for those kind of expenses. Funding for this project is covered by the state's appropriation to the town.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second? Second. Any question, discussion for resolution 13-2025? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of resolution 13-205, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. That motion passes unanimously. All right, next up, item 13 is request for the Charlotte Police Department to purchase 4 additional stop sticks. Rob, if you want to expand on that.
So ever since the installation of our flock camera system, the number of pursuits by the Charlotte Police Department has increased, because anytime someone with stolen tags or a stolen vehicle or warrants or anything comes through town, our officers get an alert and try to apprehend that person. Pursuits are inherently dangerous, not only to our officers, but also to the suspect and the public at large. So you want to eliminate those as much as possible. The town utilizes what are called stop sticks. So if you've ever seen movies if you've ever seen Miami Vice, you know, they throw the spike strip across the road and it blows up the tires and the car goes flipping. We don't want that to happen. So these stop sticks are essentially hollow tubes that they come in a strip and you lay it across the road. It's hollow tubes. These tubes stick into the tire and they slowly deflate it rather than causing a blowout. So the pursuit can end in a much safer manner. We do currently utilize stop sticks. They're only found in captain vehicles. And the police department would like to add an additional 4 to increase the coverage, and these would go into our detective vehicles. Total cost of this proposal is $2,500, and we can get half of that cost back reimbursed by a grant from the Municipal Association of South Carolina's insurance company. The remainder of the funds would come out of the Charles Police Department general fund budget.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Okay. Those in favor of approval for the request from Charlotte Police Department for 4 additional stop sticks, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion is approved and passes unanimously. Okay, next up, council, for your information, item 14 is your activity reports. For your information and your leisure. Any questions with that, council? Okay. Next up, item 15, another one you've been waiting for, adjournment. I get a motion to adjourn. Get a second? I don't think we'll have any questions, discussion. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes unanimously.